a bombshell interview from former President Donald Trump just dropped, and Time magazine's cover story called "If He Wins." It features a wide-ranging interview where Donald Trump tells the reporter and us, in his own words, what a second term could look like should he win his bid to retake the White House. In just a moment, the editor behind the interview joins the lead. So what is Trump saying he will do? Well, a lot. On immigration, Trump says plans are on to use the military to carry out a mass deportation of millions of undocumented immigrants. He's indicating he's willing to sidestep a law that prohibits using American troops against civilians. He says, quote, well, these aren't civilians. These are people that aren't legally in our country. This is an invasion of our country, unquote. Asked about the possibility of political violence if he were to lose the election to Joe Biden, as he did in 2020, Mr. Trump said he was going to win, and then, quote, and if we don't win, you know, it depends. It always depends on the fairness of an election, unquote. Asked if he would fire a U.S. attorney who refuses to follow his orders to prosecute someone he wants to prosecute. He said, quote, it depends on the situation, honestly. Asked if he would consider pardoning every single one of the nearly 800 rioters convicted of attacking the Capitol on January 6th, Trump said, I would consider that, yes. Yes, absolutely. Joining me now to discuss more is Massimo Calabresi, the Washington bureau chief for Time magazine. Massimo, thanks so much for joining us. So the title of the cover story is How Far Trump Would Go. And your reporter presses Trump on a range of issues. He opens with this sentence. Donald Trump thinks he's identified a crucial mistake of his first term. He was too nice. What does that signify to you?
Well, it sets the tone for the whole piece, which is this is the same Donald Trump we're all very familiar with. But he struck Eric Cordelesa, our reporter, and all of us involved in the piece is more confident. That confidence, I think, comes from his own experience, but also from having a real plan for what he would do if he got in office. And it is, in some ways, designed to be tougher than last time.
And in addition to the article, you published a transcript of the interviews, a fact check for some of the claims Trump made in the interview. It's not, I've been reading Time magazine since the 1970s. It's not normally how these things are done. Why take these extra steps?
Well, we think the transcript is of historic significance. It was a long interview. The first
two interviews,
that's right. The first interview was more than an hour in Mar-a-Lago in person. The second interview was last Saturday, 20 minutes. And he gets into a lot. And we think there's a fair amount that we cover in the story, but we thought it was valuable for the transcript to be out there for everybody to have a look.
So I think a lot of people are concerned about the potential for political violence again. Whether Trump wins or loses, quite honestly. And in the lead up, Trump said on the subject he thinks he's going to win and there won't be any violence. But when asked if he doesn't win, he said, as I quoted before, if we don't win, you know, it depends. It always depends on the fairness of an election. I don't believe they'll be able to do the things that they did the last time. I don't think they'll be able to get away with it. First of all, fact check. Nobody got away with anything last time. Donald Trump lost fair and square, and January 6th was a horrible moment in our nation's history. But what did you make of that answer, given the fact that he is literally facing charges in Georgia and in federal court for his activities on January 6th and related to January 6th?
Look, I think it's another opportunity for voters and readers to make a judgment for themselves about this man as a candidate. That kind of equivocation around very sensitive subjects is almost a trademark of Donald Trump as a politician. The context in which we're seeing it now is quite different. The trials, as you say, but I do think it's an opportunity for people to take a look and see how, what they feel about that.
So your reporter asked Trump about this comment he said to Sean Hannity during a town hall on Fox last December. Take a listen.
He says, you're not going to be a dictator, are you? I said, no, other than day one. We're closing the border. And we're drilling. After that, I'm not a dictator.
Now, it's interesting because when I heard Trump say that, I thought he's goofing around. He likes to play with attacks on him. I'm not justifying or defending it, but I never took it seriously. But his opponents, Joe Biden and others, have said, see, he wants to be a dictator. He said in the interview, No. I was just joking around. I was being sarcastic. Your reporter says, don't you see why many Americans see such talk of dictatorship as contrary to our most cherished principles? Trump says, I think a lot of people like it. What's your take?
I mean, I don't really have a take. I would say he clearly wants people to think he was joking. I don't think he's necessarily wrong that people like that kind of talk. What I like most about the piece and this opportunity is that we got into a lot of policy steps that he says he would take that really get at the underlying question of just how strong or authoritarian a president would he be. So there's a long section in the interview where Eric talks to him about the ways he would exert control over the Justice Department. DOJ by far has more power than any other branch of government to curtail Americans' freedoms. So if you want to think about whether Trump has authoritarian tendencies, the place for you to look is in the transcript and in the story where he talks about the ways that he would use the Justice Department against people he thinks should be prosecuted for.
Right, and if they don't carry out what he says, he leaves it open for, I mean, usually there is supposed to be some sort of independence. For instance, I don't think that President Biden particularly likes what Special Counsel Weiss is doing when it comes to bringing charges. And Donald Trump clearly saying that he's leaving it open about to firing them.
So almost every president before him has recognized what the founders knew, which was there's a kind of a wrinkle in our system, which is the law enforcement powers, with the power to arrest and detain American citizens, rise up to the president ultimately. They're in the executive branch. Out of tradition, presidents have tried to show deference to Senate-approved prosecutors to use prosecutorial deference to pursue the law safely protected from the political or personal interests of a political leader. Trump is smashing right through that when he says that he might fire prosecutors who don't go after people he tells them to.
And also the reluctance to accept facts as facts. Apparent, he talks about surging crime rates, how horrible the crime rate is, and look, any crime is horrible. But your reporter notes that the FBI statistic shows a 13% drop in homicides in 2023. Trump responds, the FBI gave fake numbers. I don't believe it. No, it's a lie. It's fake news.
So interesting thing there is that those numbers are actually compiled by state and local law enforcement and then fed up into the FBI. The FBI just takes them and packages them. So yeah, that's another example why we had some fact checking. And
another issue of importance to a lot of people, he was asked if he's comfortable with states, because he says it should be left up to the states when it comes to abortion. Yeah. Is he comfortable with states punishing women who violate abortion bans? He says, quote, I don't have to be comfortable or uncomfortable. The states are going to make that decision. The states are going to have to be comfortable and uncomfortable, not me.
So this is sort of an interesting whole subsection of the interview. There's a lot in this interview. This is obviously a very important issue in this campaign and for a very important issue in America. The Republicans and Trump in particular have a problem with abortion because a lot of states are going beyond where the political center is on that. And so he's staking out what is a kind of a new and novel territory, which is an almost absolutist position on state control of abortion. In the most generous view, that means blue states do what blue states do and red states do what red states do, but we wanted to kind of pin him down on what that would mean for everyday Americans. So Eric rightly asked him, so if a state wants to monitor women's pregnancies and then punish women who get pregnancies past the legal limit in that state, would you let that state do that? And he said he would.